Hi guys, Krishna Connect here. I'm here today with my 10 non-crafty things about me tag video. I know it's a few weeks late. People were doing this weeks ago, but I guess better late than never. So I'll just jump right into it. Try not to make this too long. The first thing is I have a useless college diploma. I say college diploma because I went to community college. Here in Canada, a community college diploma is sometimes looked on just as highly as a university degree in certain industries. Sometimes it's even more desirable because there's a lot of hands-on courses in the community college programs and a lot of work placements, co-op placements. So you get a lot more experience in the industry than you would in university. So in certain industries, certain employers will actually prefer to hire college graduates over university graduates. And I went into IT, so that was one of the, like, you can take computer science and stuff in university, but for certain types of IT jobs, sometimes a college diploma is more desirable. So I went to college for IT. It was a program called Computer Systems Technician. So you learn everything from hardware repair to administrating, like operating system administration, to network administration. And I did not do as well as I thought I would in it. I came out of it feeling, because I did fail a couple of courses and had to redo them, and even doing them twice, I did not feel competent enough in what I learned to actually want to work in the industry. And I hated it throughout the whole time I was there. But I finished just for the sake of finishing, so I could say I finished something. But I knew I wasn't ever going to work in it. I hated it that much. And I never did. That was like over 12 years ago. And it has now been so long that everything I learned to get that diploma is probably now obsolete because of how fast technology changes. To put it kind of in perspective, we were learning on computers that were running Windows XP. That's how long ago it was. So like network protocols have probably changed since then. A lot of hardware has changed since then. I wouldn't even know where to begin. If I tried to go back into IT, I would probably have to redo my whole education again if I wanted to go back into it, but I don't. So my diploma is literally useless for me. Thing number 2, I do not have a driver's license. Here in Ontario, we have graduated licensing, which is a system that takes 3 years to get a full driver's license. I don't think all the Canadian provinces have it. Each province has their own system for licensing. I think there are a few that have it, but I don't think all of them have it. But basically, you take a written test, and then you have like a beginner's license for 1 year. Or 8 months if you take driver's ed. And then after that time, or during that time, you can only drive with a licensed driver that has been fully licensed for, I don't know if it was 3 or 5 years or something like that. And there's a whole bunch of other rules as well. And then when you take your first road test, which is just a city driving test. And then you don't have to have a licensed driver in the car with you, and there are fewer other rules. And then you have that license for a year, and then after a year you do another road test, which is both city and highway driving, and then you get your full license. And from the time you get the beginner license, they actually give you 5 years in which to complete the entire thing, after which time your license will expire. And if you haven't completed the whole licensing within that 5 years, then you have to start again from the beginning. So I made it to the final road test, and I did it 3 times. The first time, I still don't even understand why I failed. The examiner did not even elaborate. He just said I made too many mistakes. He threw the paper at me, walked out of the car, and he didn't, I don't know. I don't even know what happened. I thought I did pretty well. I thought I was driving like I drove in driver's ed, but apparently I wasn't. I don't know. I still don't even understand what happened. The second time, the examiner insisted that I ran a red light when I'm like 100% sure I did not. I didn't see any red lights when I was driving through intersections. I saw a yellow light, which I drove through. So what I'm thinking happened was he was so busy looking down at the exam paper that he didn't see the yellow light. And by the time he looked up, when I was almost through the intersection, it had just turned red, and so he probably assumed it was red the whole time, and I ran a red light. But you can't argue with the examiner. They're always going to believe the examiner over the student, so I didn't bother to argue, just whatever. And then I did it a third time, and well, that was an automatic fail, because if you do anything that breaks the law, which running a red light is, it's an automatic fail. And then the third time I made like one too many mistakes, because you can only make, I don't think you can make more than 2 or 3 mistakes. And I can't remember, I think I made 3, and you can't make 3 or more. You can only make 2 or less, I think. Or that's how it was way back then. That was like over 10 years ago. But anyways, I made one too many mistakes, and they were like stupid things that like I didn't even realize were mistakes. Like I was trying to turn left at a big busy intersection, and there were cars stopped in front of me turning left the other way, and so I couldn't see the oncoming traffic very well because of the cars stopped in front of me. So I stopped for a long time trying to make sure it was clear before I turned. And the examiner said I hesitated too much, which made oncoming traffic hesitate, which made it a dangerous situation or some stupid, I don't know what she was even talking about. But apparently that was a mistake that docked me a point. And then when I was getting off the highway, my front tires went over the lane line on the off-ramp, and that gets you docked a point, apparently. I don't know, there were stupid little things, and I can't remember what the third thing was now. It was so long ago. So I made one too many mistakes, and I failed. And then also during one of them, I don't remember which one, but I was told I didn't check my mirrors enough, and I knew that checking mirrors was a big thing that a lot of people got docked for. So I made it literally painfully obvious that I was checking my mirrors by turning my entire head like every few seconds to show that I was checking my mirrors. My neck was sore by the end of the exam, and they said I still didn't check my mirrors enough. Like, I don't know. So anyways, by the time I failed the third one, my license had expired, so I was going to have to do it all over again from the beginning. And I was like, no, if they're going to be this stupid about it and this picky on the road tests, I quit. I didn't even have that much desire to drive. I initially got my driver's license because I wanted ID. I didn't even want to drive when I turned 16. I got my license when I turned 19 because I wanted the ID to go out and stuff. And I figured I might as well get an ID that can let me drive. But then by the time I failed my last thing, I was like, I don't need it. I can just get a provincial ID card. We have a decent bus system in my city. I take the bus everywhere anyways. I barely drove when I had the license. And I was married by then. We had one car that my husband always took to work. We didn't, and still don't, want the expense of a second car. And most places I can walk or take the bus. So I really didn't feel the need to do it all over again, so I just didn't. So I don't have a license. So that is my long-winded license story. The third thing about me is I am left-handed, in that I write with my left hand, and I eat with my left hand, and I chop with the kitchen knife with my left hand. But everything else I feel more comfortable doing with my right hand for some reason. I've never been able to use lefty scissors. I use the mouse right-handed, I crochet right-handed, I play instruments and sports and everything right-handed. I can't do anything else left-handed except write and eat and chop. I don't know why that is. I am a weird person. The fourth thing is I have actually never edited a video. I have never... A lot of editing software you actually have to pay for. I've never been inclined to buy any editing software. The only free editing software I have been able to find is the Windows Movie Maker that comes with the Windows operating system, and I've never bothered to figure out how to use it. And I just film all my videos all in one take. Like, I don't make money off of my videos. I don't monetize them. I just do this for fun. So I don't feel like I need to do anything fancy. So I just film it all in one take and post. It's just something I do for fun. So I have never edited a video. The fifth thing, I am a chocoholic. I am addicted and will eat anything and everything covered in chocolate. Almost. I believe there are chocolate covered bugs that exist. I will not eat that. But yeah, I will eat almost anything chocolate. The sixth thing is I am a bookaholic. I believe the actual real term is bibliophile, maybe. I have loved reading since I was a child. I learned to read when I was 3 because I always bugged my parents to read to me. I always bugged them to tell me what signs and like different words said. I wanted to know what everything said. So they taught me to read when I was 3, and I've been reading ever since. And I read all the time, and I have so many books. We have like no more room for any more books, and we just keep buying books. My husband likes to buy books too. And now we can't stop buying books for our daughter. Our house is so full of books, we need to stop, but we just can't. So yeah, we love to read. The seventh thing is I am also kind of, well, me and my husband both are kind of addicted to nerdy things. We like to buy comics and video games and go to conventions and comic book stores and like that kind of thing. We don't really have the time and money to do much of that anymore, but we like to do it when we can. We have a basement full of comics and video games and collectibles like Funko Pops and like just nerdy things like that. So yeah, we are nerds. The eighth thing is I love to bake. I love to make cookies, cakes, muffins, everything. I am not good at decorating. The things I bake don't always come out looking very good, but they always come out tasting very good. I love it. I love baking more than cooking. The things that people normally don't like about baking, like the measuring and the exact science, is what I love about it. Although lately I haven't been liking to eat the sweets as much as just making them, so I don't make them as much anymore because they don't get eaten and then I have to throw them out. But I love to bake. The ninth thing is, well, not anymore, but back in high school I was a musician. I was in band class. Our school didn't have like an extracurricular band. My high school sucked for the arts. But we did have a music class, and I played clarinet. I picked it up like that. And then from that, I picked up tons of other instruments really easily. I don't know how. I just was easily able to pick up a lot of instruments. I picked up the clarinet really easily, and I took private lessons to hone those skills. And then from that, I picked up alto sax really easily because the fingerings and stuff are pretty similar. And so I played a little bit of that at school too, but mostly clarinet. And then I did a co-op placement in high school because around here some of the high schools have a program where you can do a co-op placement for half of the school day, and that counts as 2 high school credits. And so I did a co-op placement as a music teacher in an elementary school for performing arts here in town. So I worked with the music teacher there, but that school only had string instruments, so I had to learn the string instruments, and I picked them all up really easily as well: violin, viola, cello, and double bass. I picked them up so easily. I don't know how, but I just did. And I also picked up the basics on piano pretty easily. And although for some reason to this day I cannot wrap my mind around guitar. I cannot figure out guitar. I don't know why. But I picked up all those other instruments easily, and I was actually planning to go to school to be a music teacher, but then that didn't happen because, long story that I'm not going to get into here, and I regret not doing it. But I don't know if I ever actually want to go back to school, so I don't know if that will ever happen. But anyways, so I was a musician at one point. I still have my clarinet, but I don't really have a lot of time to play anymore, but I'm not going to get rid of it ever. And my dad has a violin that I used to play, that was his, and it's at their house, and that's eventually going to be mine someday. But yeah. And the last thing is, I mentioned that I was totally into reading as a child, and so as a result of that, ever since I was a child, I wanted to be an author. But I have never figured out what it is exactly I want to write. I don't have a story that I want to write. I don't know what I want to write. But I remember as far back as first or second grade, we had an assignment where we had to draw a picture of what we wanted to be when we grew up, and I drew a picture of an award, like that said best author award. Like, I didn't know what awards authors won, so I just made some like generic best author award picture because I wanted to be an author that bad. I used to think I wanted to write children's stories and then adult novels, and like I don't know what I want to write to this day. I know I want to write something, but I don't know what. But then I'm also hesitant because it's really hard to get published. I don't want to go through the rejection process. And then even if I do get published, like I'll have to work with an editor who's going to change my work, and I don't like people touching my work. That's like a thing that will really bother me. And then like if I get well known, I don't want to be well known. I like being not so well known and having nobody bother me. I don't want to go on book tours. I don't want to I don't know. There's a lot of things about it that I don't want. But yeah, so I've always wanted to be an author. So yeah, so I think that was the 10th thing. I hope you enjoyed learning a little about me, and I hope it won't be too long until my next crochet update video. And yeah, so I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Happy crafting!